Challenges won't stop me. It's a strength and resilience mindset. Let me tell you, it's not ignoring the difficulties in your life. Just look at it as a journey of seeing opportunities in the challenges and discovering who God intends for you to be. Whether it's host Melanie Brown's motivational messages or it's courageous women sharing the strategies and habits they utilize when navigating those unexpected turns, you can expect to become equipped and empowered to fight to overcome any challenge that dares to cross your path. The goal? Building and maintaining a challenges won't stop me mindset. Let's go.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Not only do I want to share incredible stories of overcoming challenges on the Challenges Won't Stop Me podcast, but I also want to share resources that will strengthen, equip, and empower you when you're facing challenges. Thus, the Strategies, Habits, and Mindset episodes. Today, Susan Neal returns to share several strategies for a healthy lifestyle. Don't worry, this isn't your typical, let's kick off January strong so we can meet our New Year's resolution type of show. She's not going to ask you to start a diet. Ugh, we all hate that 4-letter word. And she's not going to ask you to commit to exercising 7 days a week. Susan's knowledge of health combined with her experiences with fighting to overcome multiple health challenges gave her incredible insight and wisdom about living a healthy lifestyle and why it's so important. An unexpected bonus in today's conversation is Susan explaining what sugar and gluten do to our bodies. Now, if that's not convicting, I don't know what is. I'm excited to share Susan's strategy episode with you. So let's go. Welcome back, Susan. I am so glad that you are joining us for another episode.
Thanks so much for having me, Melanie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're going to talk about what is in your sweet spot, and that is the nutrition and exercise and healthy habits that we need, especially this time of year. So many people, including myself, are thinking about ways to get to a healthier place so that you have more energy, you feel better, your skin looks good. So those listeners who are just joining us for the first time for this episode, make sure you go back and listen to the previous episode where Susan explained all of the challenges that she went through with her health and how she got to a better place. It is quite a story. So Susan, if you will, talk to us about some things that we can do to get to a healthy place.
The first thing to do is to look at what you drink. Other than, 1 to 2 caffeinated beverages, tea or coffee per day, then the rest of your beverages should be water. God gave us water to drink. Over 70% of our body is composed of water. Each cell has some water in it. So we need a good amount of water. And how you determine how much water you need is you get your weight. So let's say you're 200 pounds, then you would do half of your weight in ounces. So that would be 100 ounces. Divided by 8, that's going to be over 10 cups of water per day that you should be drinking. And that does not include your 1 to 2 cups of caffeinated beverages.
Darn, that didn't include the coffee?
Nope. A coffee and a tea is a diuretic. So it makes you actually get rid of more water versus keeping your water. And when you are fully hydrated, then your joints are easier to move. They have more of that synovial fluid in the joint. Then your blood supply is pumping through your body, and it's not a really thick blood that's more likely to clot, which would be like a stroke or a heart attack. You're fully hydrated. That prevents the dehydration.
Well, I remember it's probably been about 10 years ago. I liked my Diet Cokes. And I didn't have an abundance of them. I wasn't like a Diet Cokeaholic or anything like that, but I did have them. And I knew that what was in a Diet Coke, there's nothing of value. And so I made the decision to get rid of the Diet Cokes and to start drinking more water. It was tough to break that because it definitely has that addictive pull on you. What I found, and it has continued to this day, is that once you start drinking the water and really feeling that benefits of being well hydrated, then you want that and your body craves water instead of the Diet Coke that is terrible for you or the any of the other beverages. I'm not just throwing Diet Coke under the bus. It's any of the other sugary beverages that have all the caffeine and all of the long words of descriptions of what's in it that we have no idea what it is, and yet we put it in our bodies, which is terrible.
Right, right. And even just going to those coffee shops and getting the frappuccinos or this or that, that is loaded with, okay, 1 pump or 2 pumps of that sugar. That is not healthy.
No, it's not, and I know there are some people that drink a lot of coffee throughout the day, and that's not healthy either. So
No, it isn't.
so what else besides drinking water do we need to be doing to maintain good health?
Well, next, I would work on your microbiome. That is your gastrointestinal tract. So, God created our gastrointestinal tract with just the perfect amount of probiotics. And then we've gone ahead and messed it up with the pesticides that we eat that are in our foods because, yeah, there are traces of pesticides if we don't purchase organic foods, from antibiotics that we've been given, from steroids, from other medications, and it messes up that beautiful balance that God originally gave us. To try and balance our gut, what would be beneficial is to go to a health food store, not just a grocery store. Go to the refrigerated section and buy a probiotic and make sure it has 10 different microorganisms in it. When you're finished with that probiotic, bring it back with you to the store and buy a different probiotic and read the ingredients in the back of both bottles and get one that has, a half a dozen different types of probiotics in it. Continue to do that to balance your gastrointestinal tract. In addition, you can't get all of your probiotics from supplements, so you need to go ahead and either eat sauerkraut or kimchi. Those have naturally fermented probiotics in them. Yogurt is not strong enough with the probiotic category. Kombucha is unhealthy because it contains loads of sugar and yeast. Yeah, it may contain a little bit of probiotic, and that's what they bout. Oh, it's a probiotic drink. Well, it's really loaded with yeast because it's made from a SCOBY, and a SCOBY is like a glob of yeast. I used to make it homemade, so I know. Then you add a whole bunch of sugar that yeast eats, and then it ferments to create some probiotics. But I do not recommend kombucha.
Wow, there's a lot going on there. Um, Whew. So, just stopping for a moment and talking about the two things that you've already talked about, the water and getting our gut health in the right place. How consistent do we have to be with something like that?
This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle choice. This is a new way to live your life. So you do not live with health problems and you do not live with a weight that you are not comfortable with. These are lifestyle changes to make and continue for the rest of your life. I don't feel like I'm lacking anything. I love water to drink. I've done probiotics for years. I don't take many supplements now, but believe me, if I'm on an antibiotic, I'm going to be taking the probiotic supplement. I have sauerkraut in my refrigerator. If I make a good bean dish or a soup, it's great to put a dollop on top.
Well, I'm gonna have to venture into the sauerkraut. Ugh. Just the smell of it alone is like, ah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk myself into that one, Susan. Covered water and we covered gut health. So, what would be the next strategy about having a good, healthy lifestyle?
Okay. So as you get your gut health more in balance, you're going to gain more self control regarding getting those frappuccinos or those potato chips. Okay. That's why I kind of go in this order. So you're gaining more self-control because you've got those good gut buddies in there. You're building up your microbiome, your probiotics. So then we want to change our eating habits to where we're eating God's foods. So look at your plate, look down and say, okay, does the items that I'm about to eat, did they come off of the ranch or the garden? If they did, wonderful. It doesn't matter if it's brown rice or if it is a baked potato. Both are perfectly fine. They're God's foods. But don't eat instant mashed potatoes because that has been right, So we don't eat a potato chip because those items have been processed. So don't eat something that has been shredded up and formed into a patty, even if it's like a chicken patty, formed up, shredded, and into a patty. Those items are not healthy for you. You want to and that's really simple. Just simple. Eat God's foods and not the food manufacturers.
So, tell me, go through your day and tell me what you might eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner and snacks. Do you do snacks?
Okay. I like oatmeal in the morning. I like bacon and eggs in the morning. I like bacon and potatoes, like home fried potatoes. I like chia seed pudding. And then, like with the oatmeal or the chia seed pudding, I would go ahead and add fresh berries and nuts and seeds. And I just have an assortment of nuts and seeds and berries in my refrigerator. And I choose this one this day and this one this day. So that's some variety, and the nuts and seeds give me the protein. And then for lunch, I usually have a big salad. And if I have a piece of meat, like a piece of chicken or salmon or something left over from the night before, I might put that on the salad. Or I might do strawberries and red onions and pecans, a nut, or do walnuts, whatever nut, or avocado, because
Love avocado.
those items give you protein. And then for dinner, I'll go ahead and have a steak and a baked potato and butternut squash or green beans or whatever. If I'm going to have something after dinner, I make sure it's not too late, and I like to pop heirloom organic popcorn and watch a movie, and that's fun. But you want to make sure that you have at least 12 hours by the time that you have your last meal at night and breakfast in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And that helps prevent Alzheimer's and dementia.
Wow. I've never heard that before.
Oh, yeah. I have on my website how to prevent, reverse, and improve Alzheimer's and dementia. It's 24 interventions we can do.
Well, I'll make sure and put a link on the show notes to that because that is fabulous. That's very interesting.
And then you also want to make sure that you have 3 hours by the time you finish your popcorn or your last meal and you go to bed because your body has worked all day long and you've digested a whole bunch of different foods. And now you don't want to go to bed with a full stomach to where you're still working. Because what your body wants needs to do at night is it needs to repair the cells, anywhere in your body that we have older cells and then we need to get rid of them. It's also really good to do intermittent fasting.
Ooh, do tell.
So so intermittent fasting is, let's say I finish at 7 p.m. with my dinner or my popcorn. Then about 9 or 10, that's going to be 14 to 15 hours later, is when I get hungry. I don't get up in the morning and eat. I drink 3 cups of water in my flask here. And I say to myself, okay, before you have breakfast, you got to drink all this really good water because you want to consume all of your water before 5 p.m. at night so you don't get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. Yeah, so that intermittent fasting, what it does is it allows your body again to repair your cells. Let's say you have some cells that are close to being, they're precancerous cells. Well, then your good cells are gonna go in there and like Pac-Man, they're gonna go ahead and eat up those bad cells if you're not eating all the time. If you're eating all the time and your body has to use all of its energy to digest food, it doesn't have an opportunity to get rid of our bad cells.
That was power packed there, Susan.
I'm
Wow.
sorry, I really get into this.
No, I love it. That's the kind of stuff that's helpful because if myself or anyone who's listening, if we're thinking about making some changes, we know that we need to do it. But having those details about why and what is happening in our body, it's convicting and it makes you go, okay, well, maybe I will try sauerkraut. Ah, maybe. You'll have to, circle back with me and, check on me and say, "You can do this, Mel, you can do this." I noticed that you haven't really talked about exercise yet. Is that a strategy that you use?
Yes. So I'm building up to that because it requires a lot of energy to exercise. And a lot of us hardly feel like getting out of bed. We don't have a lot of energy. We're tired. We're fatigued. If you're drinking water and you're hydrated and you're not drinking sugary drinks, that's going to make you feel better. If your gut is becoming balanced because you're giving it probiotics, then that is going to make your self control be better. So then you can eat God's foods instead of the food manufacturer because your cravings will go down. Those 3 things are going to give you energy. Now is the time to implement exercise. And what you need to do is what you enjoy. I love walking. Other people may really enjoy running. I like to think about what did you enjoy doing as a kid? Did you play tennis? Did you play golf? Basketball? Personally, I loved to swim. So I have a pool. And from May through September, I'm out there at least twice a week. And for 20 minutes, I do 20 laps. And I'm telling you what, I get my heart rate up. I am exercising my heart because we want the cardiovascular exercise for our heart. That is so good for your brain too, because you're just pushing that blood supply through all of your arteries and veins, et cetera, up in the brain. And it's just keeping it unclogged. That is the time to implement the exercise.
I love that. I know for me, I like to be outside. I remember very distinctly hearing my dad say, "Go outside and play." I know that there are many great things. I have a gym membership and I enjoy going to the gym as well, but there is something about being outside in nature and moving your body, breathing in the air, connecting with God. I mean, I find that if I go on a walk in the nature trails, that I'm exercising and doing something good for my body, but it also opens up my mind and thoughts towards God. I enjoy that as well. As far as what I did as a kid, I shot basketball after basketball after basketball. I would shoot free throws for a long time. I love the rowing machine. I don't know why. I feel like it just gets every part of me, and I enjoy that part. When we talk about these things, and do you have any more before I go further?
One I would recommend is yoga. And I've published two books. One is scripture yoga because I recite Bible verses during the yoga class. And then also yoga for beginners, Christian meditation at the end of that to have that spiritual time of connection with the Lord. And that's a great stress relieving form of exercise.
Thanks for sharing. And I'll put those links on the show notes so that if the listeners are interested in learning more about that, they can go to Amazon. How are all of these strategies put together? What is the outcome if we're doing these things consistently?
The outcome is more energy without dieting. These are lifestyle changes. It's not a diet. Without dieting, limiting other than the food manufacturer's food, then your weight just reduces and it comes back down to normal. Or if you need to gain weight, then you get to your optimal weight because you're eating God's foods. Your joints quit aching. You have clarity of mind. You feel energetic. You feel like going out and walking now. And so you have a more positive emotions. Let me tell you what happens to a person's mood when they consume sugar. I've always said don't consume more than 10 grams of sugar at one sitting. I always look at the back, whatever I'm buying. Okay, 12 grams of sugar, that's okay. But if it's 24 or 36, no, thank you. I won't eat it. Or if I do, it'll be half of it to where I'm like at 10 or 12 grams of sugar. What happens is it releases dopamine in the brain. You're going to get more addicted to it, but then it spikes your blood sugar level. And then your body is saying, oh my gosh, my pancreas has got to release this insulin. And so it releases insulin, it uses up the pancreas, it brings the blood sugar level down to where it bottoms out and you feel deflated. You are irritable. You are cranky. You're not nice to the people who are around you. And they don't deserve that from you eating your candy bar or frappuccino or whatever it may have been. And then your body has to release adrenaline to make that blood sugar come on back to normal. This is like getting you into a cycle of depression, moodiness, overall uck. And that's what sugar does to your body and how it changes your mood.
It's kind of a scary thing to think that food has that much power over our bodies, but it's a good reminder to say, if I don't want to feel like this, then I don't need to eat X, Y, or Z because that's the outcome.
That's right. And wheat did that to me. And I found out that wheat was hybridized in the 1950s. And so the gluten molecule is much larger. Gluten related disorders have increased by 400% in the past 60 years.
Wow.
What it does to me is when I eat gluten, it's like the next day I'm foggy brained, I'm lethargic, I don't feel good, I'm not happy. I'll even be like, gosh, I can't remember that word. What word am I searching for? That's something that I know that I can't eat.
And I think it's good for us to be cognizant of that when we eat things. And then a couple of hours later, we're feeling a certain way that's not positive. Even just being aware, hey, that cookie made me feel terrible. And while it tasted good at the moment, I don't want to feel like this again. We have to have the self-control, which you mentioned earlier, to say, "I'm not gonna do that again," or maybe you eat only half the next time, or make some sort of accommodation for the fact that that particular food is just simply not your friend.
Right. I created a book to help people figure out what is their food or beverage culprit. Because it's like a mystery. It's hard to figure out. Okay, well, was it the dairy? Was it the wheat? Was it the MSG? What was it? Was it a nut? I mean, and so I created the Healthy Living Journal. Track your healthy eating and living habits for improved health and well-being. You have all these different areas to track what your fitness tracker, your steps tracker, how much water you consume, and then your issues. What issues are you having? Then in the back for 6 weeks, I have like just a couple of pages every day that you do to learn, to educate yourself regarding these issues and foods and wellness.
That's fantastic. I think that would be a great resource for someone that is just really, really struggling with their health. So frustrated because they can't figure out why what they've been doing is not working.
Right. What is my culprit? What's causing inflammation in my body? We've all heard the saying that inflammation is the root of most diseases. A lot of people have inflammation. Well, what is causing it?
Right.
It's great for us to figure that out.
It definitely is. Well, Susan, our time is almost up, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to give some encouragement to those who are in the position of, hey, I need to make some changes. How do we stay focused and stay consistent so that we can be the healthiest version of ourselves?
Write it down. When we write down the changes that we want to make, we are so much more apt to do it. You are so much more likely to get them done.
I like that. Well, Susan, I am grateful for you joining me again today and sharing these great strategies. I'm going to try. I want you to hold me accountable. I'm going to try sauerkraut
Okay,
at
great.
some point, at some point this year. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.